Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, on today's episode, well, there are some massive leaks that have happened recently, and yeah, we're going to be covering those because, well, what's, a week without like a spoiler or a week in Magic these days, right? So apparently, according to Reddit, well, we've got some pictures of an opened up pre-release kit, I believe, from Outlaws at Thunder Junction, which is, around the corner, but not quite here on when that spoiler season starts. So some early potential previews. Again, please, please, please take everything I say with a grain of salt because this all could be fabricated. Now, is that likely with, what we are seeing right now with this image? No, this would take an absurd amount of effort to make a fake Reddit post to do. I'm not putting it past anyone, but yeah, I'd say if I had to put a guess on this, it'd be 99.999999999% chance that these are legitimate. So with that said, we're going to be talking about the new exciting cards that have been revealed, again, apparently from a pre-release kit, and one of them that you might be able to see right here on this image that I have, well, made a custom card version of, so it's easier to discuss, is going to be Selvala Eager Trailblazer. And let's move on to that custom card real quick. Selvala Eager Trailblazer, gosh, if I could talk, is a 4/5 Elf Scout with Vigilance that cost, it was kind of hard to see in that image, so my assumption is 2 green and a white. Might be wrong, though, so keep that in mind. Actually, it probably has red in there now. I'm thinking about it as well with this mercenary token that we're going to be talking about, but I assume the mana value is around 4 is what it looks like, so just keep that in mind. Anyways, whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token with tap, target creature control gets +1/0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Tap, choose a color, add 1 mana of that color for each different power among creatures you control is what it looked like the card actually said. Again, it was a little grainy, but you can get basically all of the text out of it, essentially. So, yes, Selvala is back at it. This, I believe, is the 3rd Selvala. We've got way OP mono green Selvala that gives you an absurd amount of mana way too quickly. We've got Parlay, Fun Times for All, but maybe just for you, Infinite Turn, not Infinite Turn, but Absurd Storm Count Selvala as well. And then we've got this version, apparently, a brand new one. This one brings something different to the table. Again, kind of like, what is it, Torrens? Fist of the Angels, is that what that one is? Essentially, whenever you're casting a creature spell, you get a creature with that. So this is kind of like a go-wide commander. Again, it does make a 1/1 red mercenary. So again, although we can't really see the mana values in there, maybe there's a hybrid cost in there. Again, if you can see a little better than I can, actually, if you've seen a different version of this, let me know what you've seen in the description below. In the comments below, let me know what the mana value of this one is supposed to be. The commander mana value. Yeah, maybe let's say Naya Commander though, because again, you're making a 1/1 red mercenary. Not that we haven't seen others out there that make creature tokens outside of the color identity. We shall see, though. But yeah, being able to get a creature every single time you cast a creature, that is huge. Going wide very, 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 very quickly. And again, giving those creatures an ability to tap and give a creature you control +1/0 until end of turn. Only sorcery speed, so you can't really combat trick. And okay, real quick. Again, those are some words I do not like. Activate on sorcery. Triggers only once each turn for the most part. Sometimes they are needed limitations, but like other times like this one, I don't think that's needed at all. In Wizards, you're just kind of like putting training wheels on cards for no reasons. It's like, I understand what your intention behind this is. It's like, oh, you're using that, for the other ability. Choose a color, add 1 mana of that color for each different power creature control. Yes, that plays in that very well, but also just eliminates using those as combat tricks, essentially. Wizards, you don't need to limit that. You don't need to baby these kinds of things, okay? All right, just really limits kind of what commanders can do. That being said, this is still very interesting, okay? Again, being able to go wide very fast with this kind of a commander with a lot of low-to-the-ground creatures, potentially. Ones that maybe have some different powers, so maybe you've got some creatures that maybe cost a little less and have a good amount of power, like, like a 3/1 for 2, there's a decent amount out there. Or, some 0-power creatures as well that maybe have some good effects, like maybe some walls, essentially like, Wall of Blossoms, drawing a card. And then also, yeah, you can also just manipulate your powers based off of, your mercenaries tapping to give creatures +1/0, so you can have a good amount. And then, yeah, again, tap, choose a color, add 1 mana of that color for each different power among creatures you control. It's kind of like the exact opposite of the green Selvala, the mono green Selvala, which cares about like one big creature, which is a lot easier to get to essentially, right? Because again, if you like Gigantosaurus, okay, I've got a 10/10 in play. Now it taps for 10 mana, so that's an absurd amount and absurdly easy to get to with just one creature. This is more like, no. Go wide, get different powers, kind of like Coven-ish in that way. But also, you are in, again, I assume this is green-white, maybe green-white-red, so like Naya colors. You got a good amount of ways to untap this and abuse that effect. I mean, a mono-green, you've got some ways too, like Vitalize, but especially giving you white with this commander, being able to untap this, that is absurd. Yeah, you can definitely have some pretty, I mean, not infinite turns, but like, yeah, you take 20 minutes on your turn because you're like, okay, I cast this, I untap this, I cast 2 arms, which untaps all my creatures, and I get to draw a card as well. Cool. You're also untapping all your mercenaries too, so again, you can kind of like mess with those numbers again to just make this even better potentially. And also keep in mind, you are in some colors, I mean, at least with green, obviously, that you can, cast, a spell like Rishkar's Expertise, and you're like, okay, cool, yeah, I got this one creature that now has 9 power, I'll draw 9 cards, which includes some untap effects, which I do it again, untap my entire team, they Vitalize. But also, if you are in red, and again, I'm not sure exactly what the color combination for this is, I'm assuming at least the Selesnya colors like Selvala was, maybe adding red in there again. And then you have some of those threaten type effects too. So obviously, yeah, threatening your opponent's creatures is nice, but also if you just threaten your own commander, it untaps your commander and you can do it again, kind of like Krenko does with those kinds of decks. Because again, untapping this commander can be absolutely massive if you're tapping it for like 8 mana at a certain point. Yeah, being able to untap, it's kind of like a ritual effect for you, especially if you can draw more into, some of those big draw spells like Soul's Majesty, Rishkar's Expertise, draw some more, untap this again, tap your mercenaries again, use like a mob rule potentially, or like an insurrection to gain control of all creatures, untap them all. This can do some pretty crazy things out there. So again, it depends on what that mana value ends up being, what its mana cost ends up being, I should say. If red's in there, if that affects it, I think they probably included red in there. Again, I would think, again, with that red mercenary token, I would think they'd have a hybrid cost in there somewhere. I think I saw 2 in there, though. So I'm assuming this is like 2 in like hybrid colors, so you get to Naya. But yes, I think this is a pretty interesting and exciting commander. Again, we shall see. Maybe I read some of the text wrong. I don't think I did, but let me know in the comments below if you got any other thoughts on this one. Again, I think kind of like with original Selvala, some untap effects can do, actually both Selvalas technically, some untap effects can really, really be worthwhile. But again, unlike the Selvala where it's like go big and get one big creature out there, or I mean a good amount of big creatures out there, this is more so go wide and manipulate creatures' powers so that you can essentially ensure that you have a lot of mana out of this. Also with this though, since you are going wide, yeah, some other like Anthem's pump effects can be great. And also definitely some protection effects as well. Some like, hey, my creatures get indestructible until end of turn because you don't want to just lose out. Like, basically, what's that one? Rootborn Defense is, populate. So you go wide or even, and you also give indestructibility because you don't want to get blown out when this does, essentially draw the ire of the table and then people start casting wrath spells. So it's a very interesting one I think has a lot of potential. Again, like Tauren's Plus in a way, because Tauren's is just 1 mana cheaper. Again, this mana value might be different. Just 1 mana cheaper and basically just gives you 1/1s of training. I'd rather have, 1 mana more and also being able to make an absurd amount of mana with this kind of a commander as well. So it's a very interesting one. We shall see where this one ends up. And again, like I said earlier, hey, take everything I say in this episode with a grain of salt because, yeah, these are just images, right? These are just images, and we don't know if these are legitimate or not. We have not gotten an official confirmation from Wizards, nor I don't think we will ever will until the actual cards are spoiled. Then they're like, this is the first time you're seeing them, haha, because we ignore things on the internet, but we actually don't ignore things on the internet. We know that they're happening. But that's what we want to do, some of the other images that we got, and actually I'm just going to utilize my editing program to kind of show off these so I can zoom it as much as I can with these. Sterling Supplier is a new card, apparently. A Bird Soldier with 3/4 flyer for, it looks like 4 in a white. Flying, enters battlefield, get a counter on another target creature you control. Yeah, I mean, that's not all that good. Moving on. Reckless Lackey. This one's pretty interesting, actually. A 1/2 Goblin Pirate with first strike and haste for a single red mana. So, yeah, Raging Goblin plus some. I mean, I think this might be one of the first strikers that also have haste that are this low to the ground, maybe? I don't know. It looks like 2 in a red, sacrifice it, draw a card, create treasure token, so some way to kind of replace it. So, I mean, yeah, there are hasty decks out there that care about low to the ground creatures as well, treasure tokens as well. Interesting card. I mean, definitely more for, I'm sure, a limited format versus, it may be standard, but versus in Commander. But yeah, it might have a place. Obviously, Goblin decks, Pirate decks are a thing as well. Ankle Biter. Looks like we are getting another Death Toucher, so Fanghorn. Is that the Finn? I can't remember. The Fanghorn? Finn? You love it. You love Death Touchers that are low to the ground, right? For your poison. Anyways, 1/1 Death Touch Snake for a single green mana. Again, Death Touch checks. Rejoice. A 2/1 Frog Beast. Looks like Spring Splasher for a 1 in a blue. Whenever attacks target creature defending player controls gets -1, -3, -0 until end turn. -1, -0. That's a bit foggy right there. But yeah, again, probably nothing really for commander. Raven of Fell Omens, a 1/2 flying bird for 1 in a black. Some of these are hard to read, so I'm doing my best. Whenever you commit a crime, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And this ability triggers only once each turn. Targeting opponents, anything, it's tough to read the rest of that, but I believe they've already revealed what actually committing a crime is. I think Morrow actually said it. Essentially, when you target any of their things, I think with a spell or ability, that is essentially committing a crime. So being able to do so, you drain each opponent 1, which is nice. It is limited again. Wizards is maybe I'm the only person out there who doesn't like this, but sometimes they over limit things where it's like, hey, no, you can only do this once each turn, or activate on sorcery speed. Training wheels for cards, and this doesn't need training wheels. So Wizards, shame on you. Anyways, Deadeye Duelist, a 1/3 human assassin for 1 in a red. Reach, deal 1 and tap, deals 1 damage to target opponent. Target opponent. Not very good at all. More for a limited format, maybe, but no. When it comes to that kind of effect where it's like, hey, tap and ping all opponents, we have that, which is free to do. Just tap, deal 1 damage to each opponent, and also, they untap sometimes when you cast in sorceries. So, yeah, just 1/3 is not going to make up for that. It looks like we have a reprint, and again, they have these, wanted poster type cards, which I think are pretty cool. Detention Sphere, yeah, nice. I like that card. It's an interesting card. Moving on. Ornery Tumblewag. This one looks like it's a rare. A 2/2. Oh, it's a Brushwag. Cool. Mount for 2 in a green. At the beginning of combat, your turn, put a counter on target creature. Interesting. Whenever it attacks while saddled. What in the world is saddled? Okay, sorry. I should have mentioned too. I was trying to just actually put this episode together, and I haven't really read through all these cards, so here we go. Double the number of counters on target creature. Saddle 2. Tap any number of other creatures you control with total power 2 or more. The mount becomes saddle until turn. Saddle only is a sorcery. So it's kind of like crewing a creature, I guess. Interesting. Okay, so it's kind of like crewing a creature to be able to get a trigger. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so again, it's not where you need to activate the creature or it can't attack. It's no, if you ride this creature, then essentially you can give it an extra effect. So yeah, being able to get a counter on target creature at the beginning of combat is nice. When it attacks while you do kind of, crew, saddle, whatever you want to call it, you double the number of counter target creatures. This could be pretty interesting. Obviously, that could come in handy in +1 counter strategies. So yeah, a very interesting card. And again, love seeing Brushwags. Pretty cool. Moving on. Magebane Lizard, a 1/4 lizard for 1 in a red. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Magebane Lizard deals damage to that player equal to the number of non-creature spells they've cast this turn. So Storm decks, look out. You are going to be taking quite a bit of damage from something like this. This seems very specific. A group slug type deck could definitely utilize a card like this, though. Any kind of those, whenever your opponents do this or that or this or that, they take this amount of damage, essentially. That's nice, especially with doubling damage effects or tripling effects as well. This one is quite nice. It's just a very interesting card, and again, one that does punish decks that are spell slinging or storm type strategies. Next up, Interpret Stable Master, a 2/2 with Reach, Human Scout for 1 in a green. Tap for a green, tap at 2 mana of any one color. Spend this mana only to cast mount or vehicle spells. Interesting. Okay. Wait, was that a mount? Oh, it is a mount. Okay, so mount is a creature type. Sorry, I kind of missed that. Brushwag mount. So mount is a creature type now. Interesting. Okay. There you go. Changelings out there. You're also now mounts. Is that how that works too? I know there's certain miscellaneous creature types that's not actually a creature type. It's just a descriptor. Weird. Anyways. Being able to cast vehicle or mount spells though, that's quite interesting. Yeah, maybe we're going to get some vehicle mount tribal decks now. We shall see. Next up, we got At Knife Point. It's an enchantment for 1 and Rakdos colors, looks like. As long as it's your turn, outlaws you control have first strike. And it looks like it says probably assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks are outlaws. Interesting. So those kind of creature types are... So it's kind of like party, I guess, which is interesting. So it's like an evil party in a way. Whenever you commit a crime, which again, as I believe is whenever you target an opponent's thing, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token with tap. Target creature you control gets +1/0 until end of turn. Activate the sorcery. This ability triggers only once each turn. Oh my gosh. So again, literally all the text that I dislike in Magic these days all together. Activate the sorcery and this ability triggers only once each turn, all in the same card. Lovely. Yeah, interesting. Your Outlaws have first strike, so I mean, I'm sure we're gonna see some like outlaw tribal type strategies. Interesting with that. And again, it seems like on Selvala, this is again, these are all from like the same person essentially, so it's like not confirming that this is a thing, but yeah, apparently the mercenary token is a thing, and that these mercenary tokens are ones that are just 1/1 red mercenaries that also can pump other creatures as well, which is interesting. So there you go. I mean, this could definitely be used for, I mean, this is a pretty specific kind of card. Probably, again, literally just for, like, those types of strategies that are going to be around Outlaws. Keep in mind, like, Assassins, especially in the past, have been, like, you know, tap target, you know, destroy target creature that is tapped or something like that. Those kinds, so like those already inherently target things, which is nice. So yeah, you could just commit crimes with that. Again, this triggers only once each turn, so with each trip around the table, you could get like 4 creature tokens, so keep that in mind. Moving on, Noble Brigand. This one's kind of cut off as well, my apologies. A 1/3 human rogue for 2 and a blue. Can't be blocked if you've committed a crime this turn, is what I'm assuming. Whenever you counter your player, draw a card. Interesting. I mean, yeah, so again, for maybe an outlaw tribal deck, or not outlaw tribal, but like a guess committing crimes deck. It could be for that. Conduit Pylons, enters the battlefield, surveil 1. We're starting to get more and more of these, which I like. We're starting to get these kind of like Zhalfirin Void type cards. They're like, okay, ETB, scry 1 or surveil 1. This is yet another like ETB, you automatically get to surveil 1. That's lovely. Tap for colorless, pay 1, tap, filter your mana essentially. So if you do have a deck that like really needs to get stuff in the graveyard or likes top deck manipulation, definitely consider this one. If you are, I'd say 2, maybe 3 colors. It does help filter your mana, which is nice. Obviously, it's not that efficient at doing so. Or yeah, again, if you're in a colorless deck, this is just extra value for you. This is literally just free surveil, and you don't care about that mana filtering as well. Festering Gulch. This is enters battlefield, tap. Whenever enters battlefield, does 1 damage target opponent. Nice. And this taps for black or red. So kind of like, oh gosh, there's a desert, or there was a land that did this back in Amonkhet, I believe. It's like ETB, 1 damage to an opponent. It looks like we're probably getting a cycle of all these, I would assume. Actually, this is a desert as well. I missed that. So this is a desert as well. So yeah, desert's coming back, thank goodness. Desert support is going to get even more. The first thing that came to my mind is like World Gorger Dragon combo, essentially, in Rakdos. So yeah, there's going to be a Rakdos version of this land, I assume. And we have yet another land that can finish off opponents with that combo. So it's very specific. That's where my mind went, though. And it looks like we do get the Mercenary token. Sorry, I missed this earlier. A 1/1 Mercenary. And does the exact same thing again. Tap, target creature control gets plus 1 your turn. Activate a sorcery. Wizards, stop throwing that onto cards. Please just stop throwing activate a sorcery on cards that don't need it. This does not need it. It does not need it. Let people do combat tricks. Wizards. Goodness gracious. Okay, so there's that one. Let's see if I can find the other one. Oh, here we go. Okay. Sorry, I've got these kind of in different areas. So this is the other image. I'll just zoom out real quick so you can see the full image, I guess. Here you go. Full image. Yay. Let's zoom in real quick. We've got something Wolverine. Okay. A 3/2 Wolverine for 2 and a red. Enters the battlefield. Exile the top card of your library until you may play a card. So some nice... what do you call it, essentially? Temporary card advantage. Same nice impulse draw. There we go. Not sure exactly why I actually stumbled over that, but I did. And now I'm talking more about it. Anyways, plot for 2 and a red. I believe we actually kind of, I don't know if it was spoiled or if we saw what plot is, but here you go. 2 and a red. You may pay 2 and a red and exile this card from your hand. Cast it as a sorcery on a later turn without paying its mana cost, playing sorcery. So it's kind of like you just like save up cards off to the side, like foretell with 0, essentially, is kind of basically what this is. Yeah, I mean, here's the fun thing is like, I don't like that it's just like casted as only the sorcery on a later turn. Like, yeah, do I think it should have flash? No, but like if we have like, I mean, maybe we'll see that with instants. Like if there's like an instant plot, can you just like cast it at instant speed? I'd like to see that. Maybe that's too powerful just because you just have like these cards off to the side and you're just like, ha ha ha, I shall use these whenever I want. But I mean, this is interesting that you can kind of just save cards off to the side, like kind of bank them and then utilize them later. Like, again, I could see, like, a deck that revolves around, like, okay, plotting a bunch of things, foretelling a bunch of things off to the side, and then, like, wiping the board, and then just playing your things for free, and then being like, okay, I'm good. Anyways, moving on. Drover Grizzly, a 4/2 bear mount, because apparently that's a thing. For 2 and a green, when it attacks while saddled, creature control gain trample on turn. That's interesting. So, again, saddle 1. Again, kind of like the crew cost, essentially, I believe. But yeah, basically you're just getting additional benefit versus actually turning into a creature, because it's always a creature. Moving on, Rooftop Assassin, a 2/2 vampire assassin, if I could talk, for 3 and a black with flash, flying, and lifelink, enters the battlefield, destroy a creature opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. Interesting. Again, for a for a set that seems to be about targeting opponents' creatures. There's probably a good amount of like damage effects out there as well. So any creatures that actually are damaged, now you can just take them out. Interesting. Stop Cold, a 3 and a blue flash, enchant artifact or creature, enters the battlefield, tap enchanted permanent. Enchanted permanent loses all abilities and doesn't untap and during its control's untap step. So we have seen a good amount of these types of effects. 4 mana is a good amount for that, but it can shut down either artifacts or creatures. Wanted Griffin. What did this Griffin do? A 3/2 Griffin with flying for, it looks like 3 and a white. Dies, create a 1/1 mercenary. There you go. Rodeo Pyromancers. 3/4 human mercenary for 3 and a red. Whenever you catch your first spell, you turn add red. Okay. That doesn't seem like it's at common level. Wizards. Okay, that's, I mean, maybe I'm overrating this card already. Again, this is the first time really seeing these cards and actually going through them. Yeah, that's a free ritual effect on your first spell every single turn. It's like a mini Burgie in a way. I mean, Burgie's every single spell, you ritual 1 red. But this is like, no. Every single turn, not just on your turn, you get red whenever you're casting a single spell. I mean, they could have put this at just red, and that would still be very, very good, I think. But you're getting 2 mana back out of your first spell to kind of help chain that into other ones. So yeah, I could see Spellslinger type decks liking this one. I mean, aggressive decks as well. Ones that can take advantage of just making a good amount of mana. Yeah, that's very spicy. Oh my goodness. I mean, if you clone this a couple times too, just think about that. Like, hey, okay, I got 3 of these in play. Cool, I cast a single spell on my opponent's turn instant. Cool. All right, it costs like an expedite. It costs 1. Oh, I just got 5 extra mana. Yeah, that's quite crazy. So, I mean, again, is that overpowered? I don't think so, but is that very powerful, especially for a common? Yeah, that's quite powerful. Anyways, moving on. Savage Smash. Is this a reprint? I mean, it's got that, new border thing or whatever. We'll see. 1 in rule colors. Let me know in the comments below. Sorcery, target creature control, +2/+2 until end of turn. It fights our creature don't control. I don't know if that's a reprint or if this just like this is in the set and then it's just a new version of the card. Anyways, Malcolm the Eyes. Malcolm is back. All right, so Malcolm, I believe, was a pirate, right, in blue, but it had partner. So it looks like Malcolm now is in. Is it? Unless I'm mistaking that for another card. Anyways, 2/2 Siren Pirate for, again, just 2 mana. Flying Haste. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, investigate. Interesting. So, like a spell slinger type strategy, maybe clue synergies in there as well. Maybe artifact synergies with that too. Low to the ground. I mean, again, it's like Flying Haste for a 2/2. You don't really care about that too much in Commander. I highly doubt you're going to be doing like Voltron with this, but maybe. I mean, obviously, if you're going wide with a bunch of artifacts, that can help with a couple of cards that can give this power based on, your artifacts in play or whatnot, essentially. Or card draw. But yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely, like, again, second spell each turn. So it's kind of like, oh gosh, was it Jorien? Essentially like a lower to the ground Jorien. But instead of drawing a card when you're casting a second spell, it's like a held card. Again, on that investigate, you have to pay to actually sacrifice that clue to draw that card, or you could again take advantage of having artifacts in play. You can animate them in different ways, again making them all into like Rise and Shine, like 4/4s, and then swing with them, or just going wide and taking advantage of like Blink Moth Urn, whatever those cards are. Essentially like, hey, the number of artifacts in play, like make that much mana, that kind of stuff as well. There's some interesting ways that you can take this commander. It is an interesting one, and yeah, again, low to the ground commanders like this one, you don't usually see commanders at like 2 or less, but yeah, very low to the ground, spell slingy type commander I could see. Interesting. Moving on. Lavisper Boots. Anytime you see boots, you have to take mind of that right in commander, right? Equipment for 1, equip 1. Equip creature has haste and ward 1. Okay, +1/+0. Haste and ward 1. Yeah. Okay, so like a mini. Again, whenever you see boots, you have to keep that in mind, right? Because boots are very powerful. You've got, well, lightning greaves are kind of like boots, but also, yeah, you've got Swiftfoot Boots, of course, which is obviously where this one comes from. But instead of it being Hexproof, which is obviously not perfect protection, but perfect protection from any targeting, we've got Ward, which they have been slapping on a lot of things. Yeah, Ward 1 is, I mean, it's good. It's a deterrent from your opponent actually targeting your creature. It's not perfect, obviously, because 1 is just 1 additional 1 to pay, not all that impactful. This is very low to the ground. Again, only 1 equip cost, 1 to get out there, +1/+0, haste, so you can swing right away. So again, any kind of a commander that, again, maybe has an activated ability that you want to tap with, essentially, or attack with, being able to get that haste is nice, and a little extra protection is very nice. Again, I can definitely see this being, obviously, a very good included in equipment decks out there. Again, low to the ground, easy to equip, a little bit of protection, hastiness right there, and again, commanders that want to swing right away or activate right away can be very impactful as well. So interesting. Again, anytime you see boots, you need to apparently be like, boots, powerful. Moving on. Neutralize the guards. Instant for 2 and a black. Creatures target opponent controls get -1/-1 till turn. Surveil 2. I mean, not all that good in Commander. Again, that's incredibly specific. So, yeah, you're probably not going to take out many creatures unless it's like, oh, I've got my creature token deck, and they're all 1/1s. You're like, ha ha ha, the perfect card. I guess if you have a deck that really cares about getting things in the graveyard, Surreal 2, it's nice, but yeah, for 3-man speed, nah. Canyon Crab, a 0/5 crab. Crab tribal out there, rejoice. For 1 and a blue. Pay 1 and a blue, it gets +2 -2 on top, it looks like. Beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast spell for your hand this turn, draw a card, discard a card. Interesting. Okay, so again, specifically, you haven't cast a spell from your hand, so that doesn't count, impulse draw casting, it doesn't count plot casting, foretell casting, all those kinds of things. So it's like a free looting effect at the beginning of your end step, which is nice if you haven't cast anything. Yeah, I don't really see too many decks utilizing this kind of a card, though. Moving on, unless it's like a big toughness deck, maybe. Holy cow. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, that's amazing. All right, 2/2 Ox Angel, because that's a thing. Oh my gosh, I love that. For 2 and a white, looks like, and again, it's cut off. Flash flying, enters the battlefield. You gain 2 life and scry 1, I believe is probably what that is. Interesting. I mean, just the flavor alone, I love. Angel Tribal decks, please use this just because it's funny. Because you're like, oh, I have all these angels, and they're amazing. And then my most glorious angel of all time. Holy cow! Yeah, please. I mean, that's got to be a win condition, right? Just winning the game with a holy cow and then just yelling holy cow. I mean, don't yell. I mean, again, if you're in public, don't yell. If you're at home and you're playing with friends and they're okay with you yelling, go for it. But yeah, holy cow, that's hilarious. All right, moving on. Bristlepack Sentry, a 3/3, looks like a shiny one. Woo! 3/3 for 1 and a green with Defender. Plant Wolf, because that's a thing. As long as you control a creature with power 4 or greater, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Okay. Yeah, it seems like I mean, again, like a low to the ground, like a power, matters kinds of deck. That could definitely utilize something like that. Or again, a Defender deck. Obviously, like a Rixsmithies could utilize that too. Although, again, you probably don't have a creature. I guess does Rixsmithies? Not a Rixsmithies. Oh, goodness. Oh, no. I'm messing up on this now. The Defender Commander. The Dragon. The Elder Dragon Defender Commander. The Tribal Walls Defender Commander. I've already lost it. Anyways, whatever that one is. If you have a Defender deck, maybe consider this one. But again, if it's all walls and it's all like 0 power creatures and you don't get there, then yeah, you might not get there. And then it looks like we've got, again, another one of those deserts. Enters battlefield tapped. 1 damage target opponent, green or white. So again, to me, that just confirms that we are getting, I would assume all 10. Unless there's like specific color combinations in this that I'm not aware of in this set. I'm assuming we get all 10 of these kind of desert lands, which is nice again, because like deserts definitely need more support, so getting more of them out there is great. And again, I think this is an interesting one, being able to do 1 damage to an opponent, and again, that can utilize in some combos like World Gorger Dragon, that kind of stuff as well. But I believe that's the last one. So yeah, let me know your thoughts are on all these in the comments below. Again, some really interesting ones out there. Some new boots, gotta love it. Some new other cards out there that are just kind of out there and wacky. And then of course, I mean, we've got Malcolm back, we've got Selvala back. And like I said earlier, again, please, please, please take everything I've said today with a grain of salt, because this is not confirmed. This is not official. Wizards has not and probably will not say, yeah, those leaks are correct. Ha ha ha. Because if this was an actual mistake, then they'd be like, oh, we made a mistake and somehow someone got a pre-release kit. And we don't want to admit that we made a mistake. And also, some spoilers out there are coming a bit earlier than we want. Or, again, they were like, ha ha ha, we shall include this pre-release kit somewhere. Someone will get it, and then we'll build up some interest in the set before spoiler season, because we can't help ourselves in, actually saying like, hey, spoilers, every other week. So anyways, let me know your thoughts are on all these in the comments below. Let me know if you got any other information on these kinds of cards, or if I misread any out there again, or what Selvala, if you could make out what Selvala's mana value is, or mana cost is, I should say, please let me know. Now that I'm thinking back on it, I'm assuming that it's Naya. I could be wrong again, because we've got things that are probably going to make mercenaries that are outside of those colors, but I'm guessing that's Naya, and Selvala got an extra color this time too. So we shall see. Regardless, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Stay tuned to the channel for more exciting quick takes, spoilers, and maybe even more leaks coming out. And of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.